Next topic of discussion, that is the food hygiene and the preparation. So how we are making or how we are maintaining the hygiene of food, what we are doing for the safe food handling, and how we are preparing the safe and wholesome food. So what is the food hygiene? It implies cleanliness in the producing, preparing, storing and servicing of the food and the water. Okay, so food hygiene, the word suggests hygiene, that means cleanliness. We are also maintaining the personal hygiene, same like that. If we are maintaining the personal hygiene, we should also maintain the food hygiene while we are preparing the food. So not only for the preparation, for the producing of the food, for the preparing, also storing, whenever we are storing the bulk of food material, especially the grains, so at that time also we need to focus on the food hygiene. Food sanitation is essential aspect of food preparation. So if we are not maintaining food sanitation, what happens? The food is getting spoiled, and if we are consuming that spoiled food, what happens? It will affect our health. So we need to make sure that whatever food we are having, that is prepared by proper food hygiene or proper food sanitation or not. It needs to emphasize at every stage of food handling and the preparation. So the food hygiene we should keep in our mind whenever we are start the purchasing of the food, we are preparing the food, we are storing the food. So in all the stage, in every stage, we need to focus on the food hygiene. Hygienic habits would be help in preventing food from being contaminated during the handling. So if we are maintaining proper food hygiene, we are able to have the wholesome and safe food. If we are not maintaining proper food hygiene, we are eating the contaminated food and that will affect our health. So food hygiene will help to maintain our food proper food hygiene, as well as it will preventing food from being infected. Next is the definition of food safety or food hygiene. So these all are the synonyms, like food safety, food hygiene, both are same. Food sanitation is also same. Okay, so these all are the synonyms of, but the core concept is the hygiene. So first we will see here the food safety and food hygiene as all conditions and the measures that are necessary during the production, processing, storage, distribution and preparation of the food to ensure that it is safe, sound, wholesome and fit for human consumption. Okay, so I have divided the definition over here for the easy recognition. So what is the food hygiene? Food hygiene is all the condition and the measure that are necessary during certain stages, like it is necessary during the production of food, processing of the food, storage of food, distribution and the preparation of the food. Why we are doing this? To ensure that safe, sound, wholesome, fit for the human consumption. Okay, so this is the definition of the food hygiene. Next is sources of food contamination. So from where the food is contaminated? So there are 4 sources of food contamination. First one is water used for washing or cleaning is not potable. Okay, so whenever we are purchasing fruits and vegetables, we are washing it and then we are using it. But the water with whom we are washing the fruits and vegetables, if the water is not clean and if we are washing our fruits and vegetables with that unhygienic water, that will leads to the food contamination. Next is container or utensils used for storage and preparation are not clean. So the utensils we are using for the preparation of the food, for the cooking of the food, but that utensils are not cleaned and we are using that uncleaned utensils, that may lead to the food contamination. Next one is a personal handling food suffer from communicable disease. So the person who is making the food, that person is having any kind of infectious disease like common cough and cold, okay, HIV, tuberculosis. So if the person who is making the food is suffering from any communicable, that means infectious disease, so that may lead to the food contamination. And personal handling food have unhygienic habits. So the person who is preparing the food is having unhygienic habits, that may also lead to the food contamination. Like the person who is preparing the food has not cut their nails, they have the big nails and they are preparing the food with their big nails, so that may lead to the food contaminations, because in the big nails contain more germs inside that, and that is transferred to the food. So these all are the, if the person is not taking bath daily, if the person is not combing their hair in a tidy manner, and so there are chances to drop off of the hair into the food. So these all are the unhygienic habits may also leads to the food contamination. So there are 4 sources of food contamination. If the water is not clean, if the utensils are not clean, then the person who is preparing the food is having communicable disease, and the person who is dealing with the food is having any kind of bad habits, that all may lead to the contamination of the food. Next is the principles of food hygiene. If we want to maintain proper food hygiene, what principles we should follow? So first is, food handlers are free from any communicable disease. So this is the prime and supermost principle for the food hygiene. The person who is making the food should be free from any infectious disease. The second principle is, human air, nasal discharge, skin also be source of microorganism. Therefore, persons handling food must wash their hands with the soap before starting preparation of the food. Okay, so they should wash their hands before touching the food. The third principle is, personal hygiene should be maintained. So the person who is handling the food should maintain the personal hygiene, like daily bathing, hair combing, tidy hair, nail cutting, and so on. The fourth principle is, sanitary conditions like sanitation of all work surfaces, utensils and equipment must be ensured. So the area in which we are making the food, that area must be clean. Okay, like the kitchen. So in the kitchen we are having the platform and we are preparing the food on the platform. So the platform should be clean one. Okay, so that is the sanitary condition. And the last principle of the food hygiene is, food premises should be kept free from rats, mice, flies and the dust. So the vectors or the parasites should be kept away from the kitchen or the area in which we are preparing the food. So these 5 are the principles of the food hygiene. Next is the hygienic practices of the food handlers. So the person who is making the food should follow these 5 instructions. The first is, their hand should be washed. So before they are touching the food, they should wash their hand with soap and water, and after the washing hand they should touch the food. Next one is, fingernails should be kept short and free from dirt. Okay, so the person or the food handler should keep their fingernails very short. Okay, because the big nails contain more germs and dust, and there may have chances to contaminate the food. So because to prevent the contamination, the food handler must have the short fingernails. Head covering should be used. So we may see in the hotels, in the restaurant, the chef are wearing the cap on their head. So that what happens, the hair follicles are not drop in the food. So the head should be covered properly. The fourth one, apron should be worn. And the last one, coughing, sneezing, smoking in the vicinity of food should be avoided. That means a food handler must be does not have any contaminated or communicable disease. So he or she must not cough, sneeze, smoke near the food. Now, if we are not maintaining the food hygiene, then what happens? It will affect our health in a many areas. Like we may suffer from the bacterial infection, viral infection, protozoal infection, intestinal worms and the other. So if we are having not hygienic food, unhygienic food we are having, then what happens? We may have the bacterial infections like typhoid, paratyphoid, diarrhea and the dysentery. So this kind of disease are occur because of the bacterial infection. Then viral infections like viral hepatitis and poliomyelitis may also occur. Amoeboisis may also occur because of the protozoal infection. Intestinal worm like tapeworm and roundworm also occur. And in the other, food poisoning also occur because of the contaminated food. So these all are the food-borne disease. So the worms, there are different types of worms infection is occur. So like roundworm, whipworm, hookworm and the tapeworm. So you can see roundworm, the structures are like round and they are 3 to 6 inches in the diameter. Whipworm, they are like this structure and they are 2 to 3 inches. Hookworm, they are like hook structure, so that's why they are hookworm. They are 1/8 inch. And tapeworm, they are like spiral like structure is there, that's why tapeworm, and they are about 8 inches. Then the practical rules for the good hygiene. So if we want to maintain the good food hygiene, what instruction or what steps we need to follow? First and foremost, tie hair. Use hairnet or a cap. So we should tie our hair whenever we are preparing the food with the net or the head cap. Wash hands with soap and water. So we need to wash our hand with soap and water before touching the food. Wash fruits, vegetables, cereals and beans thoroughly before preparation with the potable water. So before cooking, we need to wash all the fruits and vegetables, cereals, nuts with the safe drinking water. Boil milk before use because milk is having higher concentration of the bacteria. There are more chances for the spoilage of milk. So to prevent the spoilage, we should boil the milk before we are drinking it. Utensils and equipment used for preparation should be cleaned. So the utensils we are using for the cooking of food, that must be cleaned one. Cooked food should be stored in a covered, preferably in the container in which it is cooked. Okay, so the food we cooked, that we should cover with the lid. We should not keep it in an open way. Leftover food should be stored in refrigerator and reheat food before use is advisable. So after having lunch or dinner, what the food is left, that is a leftover food, that must be stored in the refrigerator, and whenever we need to eat that food, we need to reheat, and after that we should eat it. Under the food hygiene, next is a food protection. So protect the food from the contaminated material. Food protection methods are measures taken to protect food from being contaminated by any agent. So food protection contain different kind of methods, and if we are using that methods to prevent the food from the contaminated materials. All the food must be protected at all the times during the storage and preparation from the following contamination. So whenever we are purchasing the food, we are storing it, so in the middle of that way we need to protect the food from the following material, like from the dirty hands, from the dust, from the coughing and sneezing, from flies, rodent and unclean utensils, and from the smoking. These factors affect food directly to make it unsafe or contaminated with the microorganism. So if the food is come in a contact with these all things, the food is directly unsafe for consumption and it is contaminated with the microorganisms. Now next is the importance of the food hygiene. Why we need to maintain the food hygiene? So first is to prevent the food contamination. To prevent the food from being unclean or unsafe for the consumption, we need to maintain the proper food hygiene and to ensure the good health of the people. So if we are not maintaining proper food hygiene and if we are eating unhygienic food, that may directly affect our health. So to ensure good health, we need to follow good food hygiene. Next is basics of safe food preparation. Safe steps in food handling, cooking and storage are essential to prevent foodborne disease. So while we are handling the food, while we are cooking the food, we are storing the food, at that time we need to ensure the safe steps for the food hygiene to prevent the food for being contaminated and to prevent our body to get the foodborne disease. So there are 4 basics of the safe food preparation, like clean, separate, cook and the chill. So here are some instructions to be followed to have the safe food consumption. So in the first stage is shopping. So purchase refrigerated or frozen items after selecting your non-perishables. Okay, so whenever you are purchasing the things, you need to be purchased by checking its expiry date. Never choose meat or poultry in packaging that is torn or leaky. So whenever you are purchasing the non-vegetarian stuff, especially the meat and the poultry products, so you need to purchase it from the real packet. The packet which is torn or leaking, that packet you should avoid to purchase. Do not but food past sell by, use by or other expiration date. So you need, whenever you are purchasing the food, you should check the expiry date of the food, as well as you need to check the use by, that means for how month we are able to use that product, that we need to check, and then after we are purchasing the food. Next stage where we need to maintain food hygiene is the storage. Always refrigerate perishable food within 2 hours. Perishable food, that means the food which are getting contaminated in a very early stage. So that kind of food material we need to store in a refrigerator within 2 hours of the preparation. Check the temperature of your refrigerator and freeze with an appliances thermometer. So whenever we are storing the food material, every food material require different storage temperature. So whenever we are storing the food in the refrigerator, we should check the temperature of the refrigerator. So refrigerator should be 40 degree Fahrenheit or below, whereas freezer is 0 degree Fahrenheit or below, that means in the minus. Next is a preparation. So during the preparation, what things we need to maintain? Always wash hands before handling the food. So whenever we are handling the food, before that we need to wash our hands. Don't cross contaminate. Okay, so if you are having communicable disease, do not cough, do not sneeze, do not smoke nearby the food. Keep raw meat, poultry, fish and their juices away from other food. Okay, because these all are products which are non-perishable, or they are the most perishable. So they are getting contaminated in very fast. Okay, so that's why these all are the meat, poultry, fish and their juices should be kept away from the other food products. Sanitize cutting boards by using a solution of 1 teaspoon of the chlorine bleach and 1 quart of the water. So the cutting board or the chopper board we are using to cut the meat, cut the vegetables, fish. So that board must be sanitized with the 1 teaspoon of the chlorine bleach and in the 1 quart of the water. Next is a thawing. Thawing is the process of ice, snow or another frozen substance becoming the liquid or soft as a result of warming up. Okay, so thawing, that means the frozen ice, so that we are removing it and it will melted. Okay, so that process is the thawing. The ice, snow is frozen and becoming liquid. That all process is known as a thawing process. So thawing occur in a 3-way: in the refrigerator, in the cold water and in the microwave. So thawing process which is occur in the refrigerator allows slow thawing and safe thawing. When cold water allow faster thawing, and microwave we are making the food in the microwave in the heat surface, so it will create immediate thawing. Next is a cooking. So in the cooking, cook all raw beef, pork and meat and roast it at minimum internal temperature of 160 degree Fahrenheit. So beef, pork, meat should be cooked at 160 degree Fahrenheit temperature, whereas the poultry product must be cooked at the 160 degree Fahrenheit temperature. Next is a serving. So during the serving also we need to follow the food hygienic practice. So while serving the hot food, we should serve the hot food in the warmer at 140 degree Fahrenheit or in the warmer. The cold food is served at the 40 degree Fahrenheit or in the colder or in the refrigerator. When serving the food at buffet, keep food hot with the chafing dishes, slow cookers and warming trays. So in the parties, in the buffet, what happens? We are having the hot food. So that food must be kept hot by using the chafing tray, then slow cooker and the warming trays. Keep food cold by nesting dishes in the bowl of rice. Next is a leftover. So what kind of practices we are following for the safe leftover food? So discard any food left out at room temperature for more than 2 hours. Okay, so the food which we have kept at the room temperature for more than 2 hours, that food we are not able to consume, that is unhealthy. Okay, so that we need to discard. Discard food in 1 hour if temperature is above 90 degree Fahrenheit. So in the summer season special, if the temperature is above 90 degree Fahrenheit and we have kept the food at the room temperature for 1 hour, so that kind of food also we need to discard. Place food into shallow containers and immediately put in a refrigerator or freezer for rapid cooking. Place the food into the shallow container and immediately put in the refrigerator, okay, and freeze for the rapid cooking. Use cooked leftover within 4 days. So the food you have cooked, that kind of food material you should use within the 4 days. Reheat leftover to the 165 degree Fahrenheit. Then cold storage chart. So these short but safe time limits will help keep refrigerated food from spoiling or become dangerous to eat. So we need to also focus on the cold storage chart to have the safe consumption of the food. Thank you so much.